ज्यादा दिया है क्या? तो बुक्स में तो वो हाँ, दिस इज गुड. कंपाइलेशन ऑफ एनसीईआरटी बहुत अच्छे तरीके से, एंड दिस विल बी सफिशिएंट. जस्ट गो थ्रू द प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर. बुक्स में तो ज़्यादा होगा ही, ज़्यादा मटेरियल बहुत है. So now we'll start the emergency, part 18 of the constitutions. So what is emergency? Everyone came? Nahi? He is coming? Okay. Chali, so what is emergency? Natural emergency, like national emergency. Okay. So the emergency is only national emergency. Okay. Types. But I'm asking emergency means what? See? Abnormal situations. Yes. Yes. So this part 18 of the constitutions provides a opportunity to the government to how they can behave in an abnormal situations to safeguard the sovereignty, unity, integrity and security of country, the democratic policies, political systems and constitutions. The objective of this emergency is to safeguard the sovereignty of the India, integrity, security of India. Okay? This has been given under part 18 of the constitutions from article 352 to article 360. Okay? So how many types of emergency are there? 3 types. National emergency dealt under article 352, constitutional emergency 356, financial emergency 360. Okay? How many times the national emergency was imposed? Number of times national emergency imposed. Do you get the question? Number of times national emergency imposed in country. Should I give the option? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me know when I have to stop. 5. 0. 1 time. 2 times. 1 time. When? 1975. 71. You are saying 71, na? Not in 75. I'm asking. She is saying 75. You are saying 71. So it is 1 time. 76. 77. How many times? 1 times. When?
If 1 time, then 75, I think so. And I am not sure.
If 1 time. If not, then?
I don't know. I guess so.
How many times? When? If 1 time, then when? 76. 75. So there are 3 occasions when national emergency imposed. First, 1962 Indo-China War. Then 1965 India Pakistan war, and 1975, that is on the, which is, this is the period when emergency imposed. So national emergency was imposed thrice. Okay. How many times the state emergency? No counting. Many times. How many times financial emergency? 0, 1, 2, 4, 0. Yes. Still, it has not been imposed. 0. Okay. So now we'll start with the national emergency. So what are the ground to impose national emergency? National interest. So first we will see the national emergency. Article 352. So grounds on which it can impose. So the first ground is war. When there is a war, there will be a national emergency. Or external aggression. Is there any other ground? Or armed rebellion. I have written with another ink. Is there any specific reason? Or man kya thoda to give you a very colorful life? So this was not in original constitutions. So original constitution has 3 grounds: war, external aggression, and or internal disturbance. ठीक है? Yes or no? The 75 emergency was imposed on the basis of internal disturbance. By the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978, the term internal disturbance was replaced with armed rebellion. So originally Constitution talks about 3 grounds: war, external aggression, or internal disturbance. But by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act, the internal disturbance was replaced with the armed rebellion. Okay? So these are the grounds on which emergency imposed. So do you understand the meaning of war? Yes or no? What is external aggression? What is external aggression? Conflict. External conflict. External aggression means the emergency can be imposed even in there is a not actual happening of war, before the starting of the war. So any move by the any foreign nations which threat the sovereignty, not the war, we are not at a war, but their movement, their act is so aggressive that it may war may happen anytime. So actual beginning of war, before the actual beginning of war can also lead to the imposition of emergency. Getting my point? Yes or no? ठीक है? So war is an actual, जब हम युद्ध में हैं तब. External aggression when there is an aggressions or threat. Now it is an comprehensions ki anytime war will be, the war is soon. So in case of not happening an actual war, the emergency can be imposed. Am I clear? What is armed rebellion? Armed rebellion. Yes, ma'am. जी. What is armed? Yes, within the country. What is armed rebellion? 1857 की तरह war जब हो, armed rebellion, you can protest, but if the revolutions kind of, or the people wage war against the government, जैसे म्यांमार में हो गया, बांग्लादेश में रिसेंटली हो गया, yes or no? So that is an armed rebellion. So in case of armed rebellion, so 2 of the ground out of the 3 grounds are related to the foreign, it depend upon the foreign aggressions, war with the other nations or aggression of foreign. One is related to internal matter. Okay? So this is a ground to impositions. Now who can impose the emergency? President of India. Okay. Imposition of emergency, proclamation of emergency is an act of president discretionary power. What is discretionary power? It may or may not. What is discretionary power? Have we discussed the discretion? Only? Yes, discretionary means acting without any advice. So president is bound by the constitutions to act on the advice. He has no constitutional discretionary. ठीक है? Yes or no? The constitution has not provided any discretionary. So does the president proclaim emergency is on his discretions? No. Then on advice of? This is the only article where written cabinet. In actual term it says council of ministers having cabinet rank, headed by प्राइम मिनिस्टर. ये हेलीकॉप्टर का लेकर कौन उड़ा? हेलीकॉप्टर का. So the president will impose or proclaim national emergency. Which type of advice? How advice they are giving to the president? One 23 क्या है? What is article 123? Ordinance. So if this ordinance is discretionary of president? No. On the advice of ministers, council of ministers. So which type? How they advise him? Manner of advice. दो ही तरीके हो सकते हैं ना, या तो वर्बल हो सकता है या रिटन हो सकता है. Yes or no? So with respect to 123, how they are advising? Written form or verbal? There is no mention anything about this in constitutions. ठीक है, whether it is verbal or written. It means here they have to give advice. It does not matter whether they've been advising in the form of writing or in the verbal. But in case of emergency, in the national emergency only, proclamation of emergency. So it says if the cabinet, the council of ministers with the cabinet rank means cabinet headed by prime ministers. So the president can only self-proclaim only if the cabinet advise him in a form of writing. So suppose that cabinet has advised the president in orally to impose national emergency and president deny, then what will happen? If cabinet advise the president to impose national emergency orally, take, and president denies, then can he deny? Verbal. Orally means verbal.
He can deny because it's oral.
Okay, so written he cannot deny. If he deny the written advice, then what will happen? He can deny written advice also. Impeached, yes, because that becomes an constitutional mandatory. So he can deny the advice, oral advice given by the cabinet, imposition of proclamation of emergency. But if the advice is given in the written form, he cannot deny. That becomes an obligatory. Okay? Yes or no? Now, when the cabinet, headed by Prime Minister, advise the president for the proclamation of emergency in a writing, take on the ground, either of the ground. It's not right at every ground, either of the ground. Then president will proclaim the emergency either whole of India or any part. Am I clear? Yes or no? Any doubt? Confusion है कुछ? होल ऑफ इंडिया, पूरे इंडिया में, या फिर किसी पार्ट जो सिर्फ थ्रेट है, सिर्फ वहां. It is also said that suppose that emergency has been proclaimed all over India. Whole India has been under emergency. Right? Now if the president is of the opinion that some part of the territory of India is not under the threat, now it out of threat, so he can also lift the emergency in certain part. Okay? It also says that suppose if president has proclaimed emergency in any part of the territory of India, okay, and there is a threat that some other part also fear the emergency, so that can also be included into the emergency. Is it clear? Yes or no? So proclamation can be extended also, or proclamation can be reduced also, diminished also, depending upon the threat. Whether it is extending, then it can extend the proclamations. Okay? This is how it can be do. So if you see the national emergency declared on the basis of war, external aggressions or armed rebellion. The term armed rebellion inserted by 44th Amendment in place of internal disturbance. Now it says if the president is satisfied that the grave emergency exists whereby the security of India or any part of territory, either whole India is under threat of security, its threat, or any part of its territory is of threat, and whether by war or external aggressions or armed rebellion, he may proclaim. It is not mandatory on him to proclaim. He may proclaim, made a declaration that effect in respect of whole of India, if existing all over India, or such part of territory thereof as may be specified in the proclamations. Yes or no? Are you getting my point? Okay? Now it says a proclamation of emergency declaring that security of India or any part of territory thereof is threatened by war or by external aggression or by armed rebellion may be made before the actual occurrence of war in case of external aggressions. So it does not mean when there is an actual war is happening or actual armed rebellion is happening. if there is a perception that there may be an armed rebellion, there is a perception that there may be a war or external aggressions. So before actual happening of this can also be, emergency can be proclaimed on the basis of apprehension. Yes or no? So Constitution does not talk only when actual happens. It can be before the actual occurrence also, on the basis of apprehensions. That is, the president is apprehend that now anytime armed rebellion can be happened or war can be happened. So let's impose the emergency. Is it clear? Now, so the president shall not issue a proclamation under clause 1. So when he shall not issue under clause 1 means that given is satisfied to proclaim emergency. So when he can proclaim, unless the decision of the union cabinet, a council consisting of prime minister and other minister of cabinet rank under article 75. So union cabinet, this is the only article in the constitutions where the cabinet is mentioned. Elsewhere it is council of minister mentions, and we have seen the classifications of council of minister, yes or no. It says that president shall not impose proclamations unless the decision of union cabinet headed by prime minister, such proclamation may be issued, has been communicated to him in writing. So it means they have to give in writing the suggestions. If, and it is mandatory on the president, that he can only proclaim the emergency, national emergency, when the cabinet rank ministers give them, headed by the prime ministers, communicate to him, means advise him to impose proclamations of emergency in writing. If it is not given in the writing, or if the writing is in writing given by the, not by cabinet ministers, by the other council of ministers, then it is not mandatory on him to impose or proclaim emergency. Yes or no? Any doubt? Is it clear? ठीक है, चलिए. Now we'll see the parliamentary approval and durations. ठीक है. So for this, let's so does the emergency, national emergency requires a parliamentary approval? Yes, it requires a parliamentary approval. Why? Why it is required parliamentary approval? Any specific reason? No, there is no specific reason. Because this is the reason. You know, I know that you know the answer, but you are not linking the threat. और सोचिए. अच्छा, the act of imposition of proclamation of emergency is done by which organ of the government? How many organs are there in the government? Government के कितने अंग हैं? 3. Okay. Out of these 3, which organ impose or proclaim emergency? Executive. ठीक है. And we are a parliamentary democratic, so everything has to be done by the parliament. So because the ultimate authority is who? People, and people choose their representative, so that has to be approved by the people whether to impose or not. So because of this reasons, because it is an act of executive, that has to be approved by the people. ठीक. So because of this, it requires an approval. ठीक है. Does it requires that both house must approved, or either any house can approved? Lok Sabha, because Lok Sabha is directly elected, Raj Sabha is indirectly elected, right? And you said executives are responsible. So particularly executives are responsible to Lok Sabha. Collective responsibility 75, yes or no? So does it require that only Lok Sabha can approve? If Lok Sabha approved, then it will okay. Or does it require that both should approve? So in case of approval, it says Parliament should approve. It means both the houses, right? Now what is the process for approval? So it says within a 1 month. 1 month of what? Issues or proclamation. Proclamation of emergency. Both the houses has to approve. Lok Sabha plus Rajya Sabha has to approved. Now suppose both the houses has approved. Okay? Then what will happen? After approval, then what will happen? Question? Sent to the president. President ने proclaim कर ही दिया है. After approval of the parliament, what will happen to emergency? It will exist for how long? Yes. So approval gives some period of life of the national emergency for 6 months. So after 6 months, it will cease to operate, or does it required for again? Can it be extended after 6 months? Can the national emergency can extended after 6 months? Yes. No. Yes. How many times it can be extended? 3 times. After that, I mean there is a limitations. Yes, there is no limitations. So one approval give it a life of 6 months. Okay? After 6 months, if I want to extend, it needs an reapproval. And each approval will give a life of 6 months, and it can be, it means there is no, but at one time it can be only given a life of 6 months. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? Okay? And each time it needs to be reapproved. Is it clear? Any doubt? नहीं. ठीक है, चलिए. I have one doubt. If suppose a hypothetical situation, before approving the emergency, Lok Sabha dissolved. A hypothetical situations. Then what will happen to the emergency? Do you get my questions? Yes. As situations before approving the emergency, Lok Sabha dissolved. Then what?
May not come into.
So it will cease to exist. It will end. No, it will not end. Limited period for what period? Because it does not approve, and it is required that both should approve. It has not been approved by the parliament, Lok Sabha, and Lok Sabha is dissolved. Then what? But it requires both to be approval. So it means end, cease to operate, cease to exist, or it will continue. In case if Lok Sabha dissolve, either before approving, or reapproving, whatever the case may be. Okay? Then what will happen? So the emergency will exist till the 30 days. Emergency exist for 30 days. 30 days from where? 30 days from the first sitting of newly elected Lok Sabha. Getting my point, yes or no? But there is a one condition is this, provided that meanwhile during this period it is approved by Rajya Sabha. So if Rajya Sabha has approved within the time frame and Lok Sabha before approving or reapproving dissolve, so emergency will be continuing for the period for the 30 days from the first sitting of the newly constituted Lok Sabha. After election dissolution, there will be an election. So after elections, when Lok Sabha will come, from the first sitting, it will get 30 days to approve. If it fails to approve within that period of 30 days, the emergency will cease to exist. Provided, condition is that meanwhile, means still during this period, Raj Sabha has approved it. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? ठीक है? This is an approval of the national emergency. ठीक? Now, how it can be taken back? Can it be taken back? Can Parliament disapprove it? So what is a disapproval process? Both house has to disapprove. Now, another questions. Approval of the Parliament means they have to vote. So through what, which majority they will approve? Getting my questions? Approval by the Parliament means they have to vote whether they want or not. Yes or no? So through what mechanism or voting, right, they are been simple majority. Yes, so they will approve through the simple majority. Am I clear? ठीक है, चलिए. हाँ जी.
Means while approving the proclamation of emergency, does the two houses will start the process of approving at same time or first?
That it is said that if both houses are in Parliament, the Lok Sabha is not dissolved. So from the proclamations, within the month of a proclamation of emergency, the both house has to approve. So time duration is there, only 1 month. It may be 30 days, it may be 31 days. If it has been imposed in February, then there will be 28 days. So there is no number of days, there is 1 month. But in terms of Lok Sabha get dissolved, so they get 30 days to approve. Getting my point? There is a difference between month and 30 days. Yes or no? ठीक है ना, समझ रहे हैं? ठीक है, चलिए. So for the disapproval, if you see, I mean end of the emergency. So end of emergency by 2 ways, by 3 ways. First, if the time lapse for the 6 month, if the Parliament approved, so you get a life of 6 months, and if the Parliament does not reapprove, so after 6 months it will cease to exist. Yes. Second, if Lok Sabha disapproved it. If Raj Sabha has approved, but Lok Sabha has disapproved, so emergency will cease to operate. If you remember the comparison of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha when we are doing, so Lok Sabha has more power in the terms disapproving the national emergency. Both the houses has equal power in approving the emergency, but Lok Sabha has more power than the Rajya Sabha in case of disapproving. So while within a period of 1 month, if Rajya Sabha has approved the emergency, but Lok Sabha has disapproved, so it means it will cease to operate at the same time. Yes or no? Getting my point? Right? And the third way is that if President issue through the re-promulgations or through subsequent order proclamations, it can take back. So through subsequent proclamation, it can take back the emergency also. Am I clear? So the president has proclaimed, right? Now it does not mean it can only end when the parliament approved or disapproved. President can also take it back through the subsequent proclamations. Now it can issue again one order that from tomorrow the emergency is end. So president has also power to take it back through the subsequent proclamations. It can also be end when it end at the time. Okay? It can also be end when the Lok Sabha disapproved it. Yes or no? Getting my point? Clear? So let's see the conditions. Parliamentary approval. So proclamation of emergency must be approved by both House of Parliament within 1 month from the date of its issue. It is an mandatory. It is compulsory that has to be approved. However, if the proclamation of emergency is issued at a time when Lok Sabha has been dissolved or the dissolution takes place during the period of 1 month without approving the proclamations, that what we have seen, if the Lok Sabha dissolved before or while approving, without approving, then what will happen? So then the proclamation survive until 30 days from the first sitting of Lok Sabha after it's reconstituted, means newly constituted Lok Sabha should be after election if they come into the power, right? Provided Rajya Sabha has meantime approved it. Is this clear? Yes or no? Okay. Now, if suppose both the houses has approved, so approved by both house, the emergency continue for 6 months and can be extended to an indefinite period with an approval of Parliament for every 6 months. So there is no time limitations that for what number of period national emergency can exit. It can be extended for any number of times, for the tenure also, but each time it will only give a life of 6 months. After every 6 months it has to reapproved by the Parliament. So it can approve any number of times. Okay? Every resolution approving the proclamation of emergency or its continuation must be passed by either House of Parliament by special majority, not by simple majority. लाइट चली गई. Is it clear? अच्छा, yesterday was also at this point time they have switch off the light. ठीक है? Is it clear? Now how can emergency be revoked? So a proclamation of emergency may be revoked by the president at any time by issuing subsequent proclamations. But that such proclamations cannot be, there is no requirement for approval. Does not require parliamentary approval. And the second, emergency must be revoked if the Lok Sabha pass a resolution by simple majority disapproving its continuations. Is it clear? Any doubt? Any doubt? Any question? Now we'll see what will be the effect of emergency. So what are its effect? You know, certain effects आपको पता ही है. नहीं, अच्छा, tell me, when there is an emergency, whether it's been in national emergency, whether it's been all over the territory of India or any part of the territory of India, how India started behaving? Unitary, yes. So the federal structure, the federal distribution between the union and states ends when there is a proclamations. So it behaving like an unitary. Unitary means what? All the power comes to the center. ठीक है. So if we see the effect of this, effect of national emergency, so what will happen? India turns into unitary structure. Now, do you know the difference between unitary and federal? Who will answer? Who do not want to answer? Raise your hand. Those who want that I should not ask a question to you. Everybody want that I should ask? Everyone want to answer? Yes, ma'am. What is unitary and federal difference? What do you understand by the federal system or structure or unitary system? बोलिए बोलिए. Okay. ठीक है, इसको we can refine it. Okay. Unitary. Yes, sir. Sorry, मत बोलिएगा. क्वेश्चन नहीं सुना आपने. What is difference between unitary and federal? Ma'am says that federal means state and union government. These two of the term is concerned with the division of power. Do you understand division of power? Power has been divided between the two government, right? So in unitary form, no power is divided. So there will be no division of power. So instead of division of power, there will be a delegation of power. Whereas in the federal systems, the power has been divided. And that is to be governed through the constitutions. So both have a constitutional mechanism for the division of power. So in unitary form, either maybe the whole or any part will come under the control of union. Take? Yes or no? So it will have three types of effect. First, it will impact the legislative distribution. Legislative means power of assembly. So it will impact the power of assembly. It will also impact that is power of governor and council of minister. Okay? And third, it will impact the life of assembly and Lok Sabha. There are four impact, but we will discuss three. Fourth we will discuss later. Okay? Now what will happen in the legislative distributions? So all the legislative power of the state. What are the legislative power according to the constitutions given to state? That the states assemblies are empowered to make laws with respect to the state list. Yes or no? Yes. So they have been empowered in the normal situations. They have been empowered to make laws into the state list. Is it clear? Yes or no? Okay. Through when there is an emergency, whether in the whole of India, territory or any part, you can understand through this. If whole of India come into the national emergency, so whole India's legislative power vested into the union or any part, so only that legislative power of that part comes to the union, parliament. So with respect to the state legislative power of the state, that come into the hand of parliament. What does it mean? It means that now during that period till the emergency is in place, parliament is authorized to make laws with respect to state list. Am I clear? Yes or no? Any doubt? Any question? So can we conclude that state assembly is dissolved? Because all the power went to the parliament. So assembly dissolved? No. So there is a assembly. But all the power went how? So government will be there. Government will not dissolve. Which government? State government will not dissolve? Yes. So government will not dissolve. Rather, this legislature assembly will not dissolve, but they will be in a suspended form. Inactive form. Yes or no? Take. This is similarly happened to the executive also. So in normal time, the there is a distribution of legislative executive power also between union and states. So national emergency behaving as a union, so it will also impact the executive distributions. So in normal time, governor is an executive head, constitutional head, acting with the advice of council of minister. Yes. So this executive power of the state, whether the whole of India or any part of the territory of India, will come under into the hand of president. So now governor is acting or working under the aegis of president. So president is now responsible for the executive action of the state through governor. Getting my point? Yes or no? Okay. Council of ministers are there. They are not suspended. I'm sorry, they are not removed. They will be there, but in an inactive form. Am I clear? Any doubt? Governor will be there, and normal time में governor कैसे काम कर रहा है? How governor of Orissa is functioning? Who is governor of Orissa? Who is governor of Orissa? Huh? हरिहर, हरिदास, हरिबाग, ये कितने गवर्नर हैं? हरि बाबू, governor. So how governor is functioning? On the advice of council of ministers. Normal situation में ये होगा, ठीक है? In emergency, what will happen? All the executive power of the state will vest into the president. So now the president is responsible for the executive action in the state. So how he is performing this executive function of state? Through governor. Getting my point? Yes or no? Is it clear? So legislative power will went into the parliament, executive power will went into the president, and then president will functions according to that purpose. ठीक है? Now life of the assembly or Lok Sabha. So what will be the life? So parliament may increase the tenure of the assembly or Lok Sabha at one time for 1 year. So life may be extended. Getting my point? Yes or no? But not more than 6 months after the cease of operations of national emergency. If national emergency end, so within a period of 6 months, the assembly has to conduct, or the Lok Sabha has to conduct the election. Am I clear? Right? Now, if the emergency, this is the situations in emergency. Okay? Now, suppose that emergency has either through the subsequent proclamation of parliament, president, it has been taken back, or Lok Sabha has disapproved, or the emergency has ceased to exist with the end of the time, whatever may be the case. ठीक है? So after the emergency ceased to operate, the government which is in the suspended form will be now active. So it will continue for its, if suppose that there is a left tenure is left for the government, so they will continue for that left tenure. If the extended life has been extended, so they will elections to that in the next 6 months. Yes or no? Getting my point? नहीं, इमरजेंसी खत्म होने के बाद क्या होगा? तो जो गवर्नमेंट सस्पेंड थी उसको एक्टिव हो जाएगी. नाउ द पावर विल कम टू द गवर्नमेंट एंड लेजिस्लेचर. If they have been, if suppose that life is not extended and when the emergency ceased to exist, the life of the assembly still persists, still there is a life, means it has a 5-year terms normally, yes or no? So suppose that the remaining period is 1 year or 2 year, so they will continue for the remaining year. If there is no life, I mean the tenure is ended, so election has to be conducted. The government is not suspended. Is it clear? Yes or no? Any doubt?
लोकसभा का भी एक ईयर बढ़ाते,
1 साल बढ़ा सकते हैं, लेकिन खत्म होने के बाद फिर उसको इलेक्शन कराना होगा, यानी कि that is to be done. Is it clear? So this, as I said, there will be 4 effects. Now we have discussed only 3. Let's see the, no, we'll see the 4th, but first let's see on the executive. So set becomes entitled to give executive direction to the state on any matter through the president. Then legislative, what will be the relevant effect on legislative? So the parliament become empowered to make laws on any subject matter mentioned in the state list. The president can issue ordinance on state subject. Why? Because that is in power of the governor, that has been transferred to the president. So now in the terms of ordinance making power of the governor, 213, that went to the president. If the parliament is not in sessions, the law made on state subject by the parliament becomes inoperative 6 months after the emergency has ceased to be in operate. If any law is made by the parliament, so that will be only there for the maximum period of 6 months after the emergency has ended, not after more than that. Getting my point? Now financial. So president can modify the constitutional distribution of revenues between the center and state. Okay. In the terms of life of Lok Sabha and State Assembly, so while proclamation of national emergency is in operations, the life of Lok Sabha may be extended. It does not talk that it shall, it may. That depends according to situations. So it may be extended beyond the normal term for 1 year at a time. However, these extensions cannot continue beyond a period of 6 months after emergency has ceased to operate. This will be similarly applicable to assembly also. So who will increase the tenure of assembly? Parliament, because the power of assembly has went into the parliament. So it is authorized, parliament is authorized to increase. Similarly, parliament extended normal tenure of state legislature assembly by 1 year each time during a national emergency, subject to maximum period of 6 months after emergency has ceased to operate. Am I clear? Any doubt? Any question? है तो पूछ लीजिए. नहीं है? लोकसभा का टेनर 5 ईयर है, इमरजेंसी लग गई है, टेनर स्टिल देयर. So if they want, they can extend that tenure from 5 to 6 years. 1 साल. हाँ, by parliament, they have the power. They can also increase the tenure of legislative assembly also. 1 साल, एक बार में. Again they think नहीं, अभी और होना चाहिए, तो they can again increase the 1 year, but not beyond more than 6 months after the end of the emergency. Means when the emergency end, within a period of 6 months, they have to conduct the election. Getting my point? Yes or no? Extension of the life means the elections can delay because there is an emergency in the persistent of emergency in the country. This means the life of the Lok Sabha extension means. Yes or no? या कंफ्यूज ना कुछ?
तो मतलब वो जितना टाइम इमरजेंसी लगाते रहते हैं और एक चीज बढ़ा भी जाते हैं.
हाँ बढ़ाते रहेंगे 6 मंथ के अंदर. कैन नॉट बी मोर देन 6 मंथ आफ्टर द एंड ऑफ द, क्योंकि इलेक्शंस कराने में टाइम तो लगेगा. विद इन हाँ 6 मंथ से ज्यादा टाइम उसका नहीं हो सकता. दैट मीन्स विद इन दैट पीरियड इलेक्शन हैज टू बी कंडक्टेड. इट इज एप्लीकेबल टू बोथ पार्लियामेंट and also to the assembly if the assembly's life was extended then. ठीक है. तो emergency, if after approval emergency will get a life of 6 month, parliament and state assembly will get a life of 1 month, 1 year at a time, but it can be extended any number of time, but not beyond 6 month after the end. Getting my point? Yes or no? So here we have seen 4 types of impact. Now we'll see the last one, that is effect on the fundamental right. How the national emergency impact fundamental on fundamental right. So effect of fundamental right has been given 2 articles, Article 358 and Article 359 of the Constitutions. So 358 says what? It says that if the national emergency imposed on a ground, so if national emergency is imposed on the ground of war or external aggression. So if the national emergency imposed on either of the 2 grounds, that is war or external aggression, then in this case what will happen? Article 19, that is freedom of speech, expressions and others, right, will suspended automatically. What about other rights? What about the other fundamental rights? They do not suspend when the emergency imposed on war or external aggressions. Only Article 19 suspend. 358 says when an emergency imposed on a ground of war or external aggression. So Article 19, that is freedom of speech, expressions, movement, assemble, union, cooperative, residing, movement or professions shall be suspended automatically as soon as it imposed, either in any part of territory or in a whole. So it will be suspended automatically. Then what? What about the other rights? Sorry, it does not suspend. So it says that other rights other than Article 19 which suspend automatically, plus only those rights will be suspended which has a mention in the precedent order. So what does it mean? It means if the emergency exists or imposed on a ground of war or external aggressions, Article 19 is going to be automatically suspended. And other rights will be suspended only when they have been given by the order, suspended by the order of president. So in the proclamations, if the president mentions the particular rights, that right can only be suspended other than the Article 19. Yes or no? Getting my point, right? So it says other rights, other than means other than Article 19, like 14, 15, 16, any other, right? So other rights, other fundamental rights may be suspended if they are mentioned in precedent order. Clear? Yes or no? Any doubt? नहीं? ठीक है? Is all the fundamental rights are subject to suspensions during fundamental rights? Emergency. Is all or there is any exceptions? होगा या है? होगा या है? जैसे Article 21, only 21, 20 and पक्का? So accept Article 20 and 21. What does it mean? इसका क्या मतलब है? सस्पेंशन ऑफ फंडामेंटल राइट्स का क्या मतलब है? जैसे आर्टिकल 19 is suspended automatically. What does it mean? What is Article 29? 19, sorry. What is Article 19? Freedom of speech. Means you have a freedom to speak. But it says that if Article 9, there is an emergency, so Article 19 cannot be enjoyed. What does it mean? So you are not free to speak? Yes. So your mouth will be stitched. Sorry? वो तो अभी भी नहीं बोल सकते. बाउंड टू गवर्नमेंट. कैसे? गवर्नमेंट बांध लेगी आपको. Suspension of fundamental right means only one thing. They are available, right? But they are not binding on the government. They are not fundamental anymore during the emergency. It means imposition. Article 32 is basically suspended. Getting my point? आपके पास you have a right, freedom till it has been guaranteed. Yes or no? Article 32 is an impositions which impose. Sorry, it impose. So it empowers a court that they can reinforce if anyone's right is violated. But during emergency, what happened? National emergency, what happened? That you can write anything, you can speak anything. But if your violation, if your rights has been curbed or you have been restricted, or your right is violated, you cannot move to the court, or the court cannot reinforce. So court is powerless, toothless during the emergency period. Are you getting my point? ठीक है? But it is not toothless against Article 20 and 21. So Article 32 is existed in case of 20 and 21, but it is non-existence in other 22, 23, 24, 25, 19, 17, 18, 16, any. Getting my point? Yes or no? So when the emergency, national emergency imposed on the basis of war or external aggressions, 19 suspended automatically. But when 369 says, 359 sorry, that when a national emergency imposed on a ground of war or external aggression or armed rebellion, then what will happen? So only those fundamental rights may be suspended which has mention in presidential order. So it means if the national emergency imposed on armed rebellion, Article 19 is not going to be suspended automatically. It can only be suspended if it has a mention in the president order. Are you getting my point? Yes or no? नहीं? Clear है ना? Any doubt? ठीक है, चलिए लेट्स सी देन. हाँ, yes, that cannot be suspended. So effect on fundamental rights, Article 358 and 359 describe the effect of national emergency on the fundamental right. 3 says that suspension of fundamental rights under Article 19 according to 358, when a proclamation of emergency is laid on the ground of war or aggressions, the 6 fundamental rights under Article 19 are automatically suspended. This was done by the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act 1978. 1978. ठीक है. Next, if we see suspensions of other fundamental rights. So according to Article 359, the President is authorized to suspend by order the right to move any court. That is 32. Getting my point? ठीक है. For the enforcement of fundamental rights during a national emergency, thus remedial measures are suspended and not the fundamental right. आप बताइए, what is remedial measures? Right to constitutional remedy comes under which article? 32. तो वही suspended है. So article 32 is suspended, not the fund. ये नहीं कि अब आपको जीने you will be restricted. If your rights is violated, you cannot move to court. ठीक है जी. हाँ नहीं, 358 भी आर्टिकल 19 में आप कोर्ट नहीं जा सकते. ठीक. और अगर कोई और भी उसमें ऐड हो गया, 19 इज ऑटोमेटिकली सस्पेंडेड जहां वॉर और एक्सटर्नल एग्रेशन में हो गया. बट और भी हो सकता है इफ द प्रेसिडेंशियल ऑर्डर इज बीन मेंशन्स. बट 20 and 21 कैन नॉट बी टेकन बैक. खुश हो जाएगा. यहाँ भी नहीं, 2021 यहाँ भी नहीं वापस हो सकता. The suspension of enforcement related to only fundamental rights that are specified in presidential order. Suspension could be for the period during the operation of emergency or for a shorter period. The order should be laid before each house of parliament for the approval. So that parliamentary order or presidential order, which is an suspending the fundamental rights, should also be approved. 44th Amendment mandate the President that cannot suspend the right to move court for the enforcement of rights under 20 and 21. 20 is related to what? कौन बताएगा? Volunteer yourself for the answer. Article 20 क्या conviction? ऐसे क्या मतलब? फंड आप कहते right to. Tell me the title of the Article 20. Or what is 21? What is Article 20? Nahi. There is no right in the 20. Hey, what is it? प्रोटेक्शन फ्रॉम कन्विक्शन। तो सिर्फ कन्विक्शन से काम नहीं चलेगा। प्रोटेक्शन ऑफ कन्विक्शंस। कितने टाइप के कन्विक्शन से प्रोटेक्शन है? 2। उन्होंने नोटबुक भी खोल ली है। एक्स पोस्ट फैक्टो, डबल जियो पैरोडी और सेल्फ इनक्रिमिनेशंस, आर्टिकल 20। ठीक है, यस और नो? दिस इज नेशनल इमरजेंसी, आर्टिकल 352। नेक्स्ट इज कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल और फेलियर ऑफ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मशीनरी और प्रेसिडेंट रूल, स्टेट इमरजेंसी, that is 356. To understand 356, how it can be done, we need to understand two things. ठीक है, एक तो 355 और 365 देख लेते हैं। ठीक है, चलिए। सो बेसिस, ग्राउंड अगर हम देखें, व्हाट इज अ ग्राउंड ऑफ इम्पोजिशन ऑफ प्रेसिडेंट रूल? आपने देखा ना ग्राउंड इमरजेंसी, तो इसका भी तो कोई ग्राउंड होना चाहिए। व्हाट इज अ ग्राउंड? Okay, the one is constitutional provisions. So what is constitutional provisions means? How it can be decided that constitutional provision is failed? So there is one article which empowers the parliament, union. See, the constitution empower the union for two duties. First, the constitution has empowered the union to protect the state from war, external aggression or internal disturbance. So in case of protection of any state, the union can impose president rule. Yes or no? Second, which is the most dangerous or it can be used most of the time to impose president rule, is that constitutions empower the union to give directions. Union can give directions to state government. And what is directions? With respect to any specific subject matter, to make law on that subject matter or not to make law on that subject matter. ठीक है, and this directions of the union becomes an mandatory. On the state, and if the state does not comply with the direction given by the union, if they are not comply means they do not follow the directions or they willfully disobedient the directions of the union, that means failure of constitutional machinery in the state. Getting my point? So these directions become the mandatory. It means the state has to comply. And if the state fail to comply with these directions, it leads to the, then it has been, so this is said under article 65, that if the state failure of constitutional machinery in the state, then center can use article 356, that is to imposition of president rule. Am I clear? 365 में ये directions है कि if there is a constitutional failure. Now what is constitutional failure? So this is constitutional failure. That constitution has provided an power to the union that they can give directions. ठीक है, जैसे डायरेक्शन दे दिया दैट यू शुड मेक लॉ रिलेटेड टू इंटॉक्सिकेशंस बट स्टेट इज नॉट कंप्लाइंग, or they can make give a directions that you should make a law for the official languages, use of Hindi, promotion of Hindi, or in case of any drugs related matter that the law should be there, or any kind of, but the state is not complying with that. So that leads to the failure of constitutional machineries in the state. Is it clear? Yes or no? Any doubt?
Sir, if any look, मैं frame नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ सर, तो
ऐसे बोलिए विदाउट फ्रेमिंग.
देखिए सर, यूनियन गवर्नमेंट कोई एक एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर पास कर दिया कि आप लोग
डायरेक्शन दे, एग्जीक्यूटिव ऑर्डर पास, डायरेक्शन, दैट शुड बी डायरेक्शंस, मीन्स डायरेक्शन. अभी तो मैंने आपसे पूछा तो बोले यस, डायरेक्शंस ऑर्डर कि आप इस पे काम करो, आप इस मैटर पे ऐसे काम करो, दैट इज डायरेक्शंस. व्हाट इज डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल ऑफ स्टेट पॉलिसी? गाइडलाइंस, डायरेक्शंस, यू हैव टू डू दिस. इज डायरेक्शन.
जो हो रहा है
हाँ,
वो स्टेट इमरजेंसी लागू कर सकते
नहीं, इफ दे हैव द गिवन डायरेक्शंस,
दे आर नॉट फॉलोइंग.
कोई डायरेक्शन दिया भी है कि नहीं पता किसे, हाउ विल यू नो? एंड दैट डज नॉट मीन that they have done, they shall, they may. So if the directions has been given and if they are not following, then they can make an emergency. Yes? Any doubt? ठीक है? So how emergency can be imposed? National emergency, sorry, state emergency. Who can impose? President by his own, on the advice of cabinet or council of minister? Council of minister. Cabinet is used only in terms of national emergency, right? So there are two ways to impose this state emergency. It says president is, if the president is satisfied. Now this, his satisfaction is based on either on the report of governor. He can only impose emergency in case of satisfactions, where he is satisfied that, satisfaction of what? If there is a constitutional failure of constitutional machinery. So he can bang on two things, either on the report of governor. So it is governor who will report that the state, in a state there is a failure of constitutional machinery. Now that report of the governor is not binding on the president, or he may by himself, by other reports, by through other, he can assume or apprehend that the constitutional failure is in the happen in state. So he can impose that president rule. Getting my point? Yes or no? Is this clear? Any doubt? Any questions? You are looking into the notes, some notes, so you can ask if there is any confusion. नहीं ना, चलिए क्या? It says 356 that president may impose president rule if he is satisfied. So his satisfaction is based on either of the thing. If either on the report of governor, if governor has reported that the state government is not functioning according to constitution, that is failure of constitutional machinery. If the state government is not adhering to the advice given by the union, take, or he can by himself apprehend that there is a failure of constitutional machinery. So the report of the governor is not binding on the president. That if he is not depending only on the report of governor, that governor has reported, so now we have to impose. Yes or no? So the governor report is not binding. It may. Clear? So if we see this president rule, so 355 of the constitution says it imposes a duty on center to ensure that the government of every state is carried on accordance with the provision of the constitutions. So it is a duty of the state. They have to look after this, and this is one of the ground on which can make a ground for imposition of precedent rule. That why you have imposed, because the state is not functioning according to constitutions. Now what I have given you the two conditions. So this means according to provisions, it means if the direction is given by the union to the state, and if they are not been adhering to that directions, that amounts to the failure of constitutional machineries. Yes, ma'am. Okay. See, this is an जैसे योजना रिजेक्ट कर दिया था. दिस इज जनरल पॉलिसी, यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड. अगर यूनियन ने तमिलनाडु गवर्नमेंट को स्पेशली डायरेक्शन दिया है कि नाउ यू हैव टू मेक ए 3 लैंग्वेज पॉलिसी, एंड इफ इट विल बी failure of constitutional mandate. That is a general. National education policy is a policy of the government. It has why concurrent list where the state is also been empowered to make laws. Get the point? Yes or no? Is this clear? So in the duration, in the course of this making, ensure that state should function according to the provisions of constitutions, because it is duty based on upon union by constitution 355. In this duty, the performance which center takes over the government of state under article 356. So if the union is of an opinion that state is not functioning according to the constitution, now we have seen what is according to constitution means. If they are not adhering to the directions given by the union, so in that case they can make a case that okay, not. So article 355 has says if the state is not functioning, so you can impose precedent rule. So they can make that ground for imposition of precedent rule. Failure of constitutional machinery in the state, right? Now when there is a failure of constitutional machinery in the state, then what will happen? It says the precedent rules can be proclaimed under 356 on two grounds. First, 356 empowers the president to issue proclamation if he is satisfied that a situation has arisen in which the government of state cannot be carried accordance with the provision of constitutions, take, and his satisfaction is not only based on the governor's advice, report of the governor, but also otherwise. Article 365 says that whenever a state fails to comply with or to give effect to any direction from the center, it will be lawful for the president to hold that situation has arisen when the government of the state cannot be carried on in accordance with the provisions of constitutions. Am I clear? Yes or no? So this is given the power. ठीक है? ठीक है. तो emergency is imposed on the basis of this failure of constitutional machinery. So now if it is not national emergency, this is an state emergency. So now what is an implication of the imposition of state emergency? The government immediately suspended the house, the legislature is dissolved, assembly is dissolved. डिसॉल्व नहीं होगी. मणिपुर में गवर्नमेंट डिसॉल्व नहीं है, पार्लियामेंट असेंबली डिसॉल्व नहीं है, नहीं है. रिजाइन दिया, उसके बाद इमरजेंसी लगी, तो क्या स्टेट इमरजेंसी में गवर्नमेंट डिसॉल्व नहीं होती? हाउस, यस. In state emergency, the legislature is dissolved, but only after approval of parliament, not immediately imposition of precedent rule. So this precedent rule has to be approved, get an approval by the from parliament. So once the parliament approve, then the state assembly will be dissolved. Okay? So approval is similar to that of a national emergency. Only one difference. Here each approval will give a life of an 6 months, similar to that of a national emergency, but state emergency cannot be extended beyond a period of 3 years. So for the maximum period of 3 years, they can impose an emergency. Getting my point? What does it mean? It means after 3 years, this is a ruling given by the Supreme Court. So Supreme Court says that after 3 years, you see, imposing a precedent rule, it means the democracy, popular government, you are dethroning the popular government because people have government, deprive the people from government. So you, for the maximum period, you can impose 3 years. After 3 years, you have to restore the popular government. Means the government through by the people. So election has to be conducted. Getting my point? Yes or no? Election. Through election. Yes or no? Right? So this is the similar with that of the this. There is a one difference is this. And the second difference is the time period will get a parliament to approve. What is the time period in case of national emergency? 1 month. Here they are getting 2 months. फिर वही है, emergency approve कीजिए with the simple majority they approved. If suppose that before approving the Lok Sabha dissolved, then again similar case जो उसमें था that there will be 1 month to coming that. Okay. So proclamation so approved shall unless revoked cease to operate on the expiration of period of 6 months from date of issue of proclamations. It means giving a life of 6 months. Provided that if and so often as a resolution approving the continuation in force as proclamation is passed by both the house shall unless revoke continue in force for a further period of 6 months from date on which it will be otherwise have been seized, but no such proclamation shall be in any case remain in force more than 3 years. Is it clear? Yes or no? देख अब इसका इफेक्ट क्या हो सकते हैं, किन किन आपके पास 5 यू हैव 5 ग्राउंड्स जो हमने देखा नेशनल इमरजेंसी में, एग्जीक्यूटिव, लेजिस्लेचर, फाइनेंशियल मैटर, लाइफ एंड फंडामेंटल राइट. इनमें से किन किन ग्राउंड्स को अफेक्ट कर सकता है स्टेट इमरजेंसी? इज देयर एनी इफेक्ट विल बी डन ऑन एग्जीक्यूटिव? Yes, the executive will be affected because the emergency, so all the executive power of the state will vested into the president and then president will exercise through the governor. Legislature, all the legislative power of the state will be vested into the parliament. So now the parliament is through this act is empowered to make law in respect of state list. State list में law बना रहा वो, ठीक है? And then there will be financial distributions, impositions भी है. Any financial distributions can be done. Fundamental right, do the fundamental right suspended during state emergency? No. There will be no impact on fundamental right. Fundamental right is suspended only during the national emergency, not during state emergency. Am I clear? Why? ऐसे there is no state emergencies failure, there is no security threat, there is failure of constitutional machinery, इसमें लोगों की गलती नहीं है या फिर that is not been done. So because of this, so if you see the effect, president can take of state government and powers vested in the governor or any other executive authority in the state. Impact on executive. President can declare that the power of the state legislature are to be exercised by the parliament. So legislature power given to the parliament. It means now parliament is authorized to make laws on the state list with respect to that particular state. Am I clear? This also means that if suppose for a period during this period of any state is under this president rule, So budget of that state which is under the president rule will be presented into the parliament by the parliament after the general budget. Getting my point? Yes or no? ठीक है? So if any state is under president rule, so budget of that state presented by parliament in the Lok Sabha, under parliament, through the parliament. Union will present that into the parliament. Okay? So president can take all other necessary steps, including the suspension of constitutional provisions relating to any body or authority in the state. Am I clear? Okay. The last is financial emergency. Just a moment. Okay, now we'll see the last 360 financial emergency. So there is no any occasion when the emergency is imposed. Okay, so when the financial emergency can be imposed, so it empowers 360 empower the president, okay, to proclaim financial emergency if he is satisfied that situation has arisen due to which. So what is a ground? So there is a financial instability and credit of India is threat. So if the credit of India is under threat or financial stability is threat. Okay? Either financial stability or credit of India or any part of its territory is under threatened. So in that case, it will impose on financial emergency. Okay. So does it require any approval? Yes, it requires an approval, right? So once approved, what amount of time life will be given to the financial emergency? Unlimited till it is in revoke. So in case of financial emergency, there is no requirement of reapproval. ठीक है ना? So proclamation declaring financial emergency must be approved by both House of Parliament within 2 months from date of its issue. But once approved by the Parliament, it does not require an reapproval. So once approved by both House of Parliament, the financial emergency continues indefinitely till it is revoked. So that will be revoked by the executive order, by presidential order. Is it clear? What will be the effect of financial emergency? Do the country works as an or comes under as an unitary in the financial emergency? No. It only impact the financial distributions or financial provisions, financial matters. ठीक है, जैसे during this period through the presidential order the salaries can be deducted. Even the salaries of an Supreme Court judges can also be reduced during the financial emergency. The state legislature has to take prior sanctions of the speaker with respect to the money bill, because in the normal time period they do not have to take any permissions, but during financial emergency they have to take permissions or prior approval before introducing a money bill into the legislature. ठीक है? Yes or no? It can also impact the financial distributions between the union and state, like net proceed of the tax that is to be distributed among the union and state, that will also be impacted. Am I clear? Yes or no? Okay. So this is financial emergency. Any doubt? Now if you see the impact of this financial emergency, so effect of financial emergency, so extension of executive authority of the union over the financial matter of the state. So it is not going to impact the state government or legislature, like unlike it was in the national emergency or state emergency. So government will be there, but their financial matter will be under the union. Okay. Reduction of salaries and allowances of all or any class of persons serving in the state. Reservation of all the money bills or other financial bill for the consideration of president after they are been passed by the legislature of the state. Take direction from the president for the reduction of salaries and allowances of all or any class of persons serving under the union. So union government's salary will also be reduced, and the judges of the Supreme Court and High Court salaries can be deducted, but only after the order from the president. Direction. Without directions it cannot be. So imposition of financial emergency does not result into the reductions. It can only be reduced after the directions from the president. If president in his order asked to do so, then it can be done. Is it clear? Yes or no? Any doubt? हाँ, जिसका डायरेक्शंस के थ्रू. ठीक है, and it is not like it is will be there is only one approval, it will end for the indefinite. But suppose कि directions has been given for the reductions, so that will be exist only for that financial year in which the financial emergency is taken back. So suppose the financial emergency is ceased, now there is no financial emergency, so the impact of the financial emergency will be in the force only for that financial year. As the financial year ends, all the restrictions will be ended. Getting my point? Because we govern through the financial year. ठीक है? Yes or no? Any doubt? फिर से once more. हाँ, बोलिए. प्रेसिडेंट की सैलरी के बारे में कुछ नहीं कहा गया, तो प्रेसिडेंट है, अपने चाहे तो कर लेगा अपने ऑर्डर से. हाँ, if there is a threat they can reduce, but only by the order of the president. बट आप लोगों की सैलरी तो कटेगी. गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट की सैलरी कटेगी, those who are functionings. Any more questions? Any other questions? What about private? प्राइवेट का तो आज भी पैसे नहीं है. Yes ma'am. Money bill. It says that all the state which they have been introducing money bill क्या है normally related to the expenditure from the consolidated fund. Normal time everyone can introduce their own bill, but in case of financial emergency, president either the bill has to reserve for the president or it has to be taken previous consent. President in terms of state money bill, state legislature. So they cannot expense from their consolidated fund unless president allows to do them. ठीक है? Anything else? नहीं? Yes or no? Everything is clear? रिजर्व किया जाएगा उनके लिए फॉर अप्रूव्ड, देन ओनली इट कैन बिकम एन एक्ट. इज इट क्लियर? यस और नो? वांट टू आस्क एनीथिंग एल्स? नहीं? आप लोग ये भी नहीं बोलते यस या नो, जस्ट यू कीप साइलेंटली सीइंग. मन होगा तो पूछ लेंगे, आप आगे चलो. So this is from the financial emergency. The next topic, part 6 of the constitutions, that is state. So again under the state we will study about the union, executive and legislature. So if you remember, when we have started the union, I have let you know that there is a similarity because state and union follows the same parliamentary form of government. We'll only see the differences which existed in union and state. Okay? So let's start in the next class, the state, part 6. Okay, thank you. जी.
एक मेंबर का जब डिस्क्वालिफिकेशन हो जाता है, ये आर्टिकल 102 एंड 10 के तरफ से उसका मेंबरशिप खत्म हो जाता है.